goal line, offense line, defense line, it's ball line, a spot line, and a sound line, and a sound line, and a sound line. Tick, tick. We're on 3, 1, 2, 3.
What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony Gonzalez. I am the head football coach at Everett Alvarez High School in Salinas, California. I'm with Dylan Mack. Dylan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Dylan Mack. I'm the head coach of Elmwood Park High School, just outside of Chicago in Illinois.
Fantastic, dude. We are doing our first show called Coach to Coach, where you guys give us a question, offense, defense, special teams, team organization, anything you can think of. Game planning, like if you have a question for your next week's game, throw that at us. And we're here to answer your questions. We're just two guys who are suffering from not having football because of COVID, and we're bored and we want something to do. So give us something to do. With that being said, let's get rolling. Let's do that first question we got.
Yeah, so we got from actually all the way in Germany, Coach Maddox asked, what do you do for a warm-up? So
what do you think, practice warm-up or game warm-up?
So for me, it's the same. What I did, I actually stole this from Jim Radcliffe over at University of Oregon. It takes about 66 minutes to get through about 100 players. And we go, I think it's six down and backs. It comes out to be for about 30 yards. And we go, the first length is every 10 yards. We go high knee pulls. So you squeeze it to your chest. Then we do these things called frogs. You kind of put your hands around your nuts, and then you kick your knees up to your ears, and then you do Frankensteins. Then coming back, we do a lunge circuit. So we're going to go forward, we're going to go laterally, then we're going to go reverse. It's pretty up-tempo, gets them kind of primed up. Then going back, that's our crawl, and we do elephant walks, so nice big straight legs. Then we go into our Spider-Man crawls. So they get on the ground, get those knees outside their elbows, and then we do toe touches for the last 10 yards. And then we finish with just kind of some movement stuff. We get 2 kind of lateral pushes off of our right leg, and then they turn and sprint, 2 lateral pushes off their left leg, turn and sprint, and then some backpedal and turn. And then we're pretty much primed, ready to go. I mean, with smaller groups, it takes us about 3 minutes, man. It's quick.
Does that mean that you kind of like steered away from the static stretch stuff?
Oh, yeah, we don't stretch at all.
Yeah, neither do we. We kind of do the same thing you guys do. Like, we used to do like groups of kids. Like they'd be in, I don't know, let's say 6 rows, and then they'd be, just go back to how many river kids we had. Yeah. And honestly, I thought that took too long. And I'm like, I'm done with this. So we honestly just go straight across the goal line, the whole team. And we do exactly pretty much what you said. We just have a dynamic warm-up like that. Yeah. And it cut our time to warm up like in half. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you're always trying to save time at practice to do something else. But yeah, we do exactly pretty much what you do, just in a long straight line. There is a team though that we play, and they don't even, I think they stretch and do all that stuff before they even walk out on the field. And they do all of their like play run throughs and like individual type drills, like off the field, away, like, without even hitting each other, without pads on. Because once they get on the field, like they set up cones and they're like sprinting and hauling ass to a certain place and then kind of walking back, and then they're doing it again, and then they're doing like one-on-ones. I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is kind of cool.
Right.
But like that kind of it sets the tempo for their team. And I know we have like a toughness question.
Right.
I've read that one, but like that one-on-one, like, hitting right before the game, it like gets everyone's minds like jacked up, ready to go. And I'm like, dude, I think I like this. So I might steal that this next season.
For sure, man. Like that's the one thing. Like our big thing was before the game, we don't want to go out to the field too early. Like I felt like there were many times where before the game, we were out there for days, and we were like,
time it right?
Right,
like,
right.
Oh man, I should have stayed in the locker room for like 15 more minutes.
Right. So we do all of our stretching before the game, that same stretching, but in a gym. And it's the same length as a basketball court. That's 30 yards.
Okay. Yeah.
So it works out to be the same. So, yeah, it works out well.
I guess I'm stealing stuff from you and that other dude next season, or if we have this season.
Hey, it's all stealing, right?
Yeah, dude, right? Everything I know, I didn't come up with myself.
Nothing.
All right. You got your next question?
Yeah, so next one comes from Coach Reeves from Alabama. He's asking, how do you get your players tougher?
Oh, I knew that one was coming.
I put it number 2 for a reason.
Yeah, honestly, dude, like I honestly think that toughness, you can kind of build it into kids. Some kids just have it. You know what I mean? Like this kid's tough as hell. But I also think that like you can kind of build it into them through the off season.
Yeah.
Especially like when you get their asses in that weight room. You know what I mean? Like that just builds some kind of mental toughness in them. And honestly, they get a little beefy and bulky and they know it. So they feel like they're a little tougher now and they're like flexing their chest. But yeah, like, honestly, I think the weight room really, really helps once you get them in there in the off season. And then we really do have a live period pretty much every week. I think we talked about it with Nate on that last show we were all with him on, and we talked about like how often do you hit, and honestly, like we hit really often, but like we'll taper it off towards the end of the year depending on how the kids are feeling and how our injuries are. But like and then on top of that, like maybe it's just me too with the style of offense we run. I feel like we like to run the ball. So we got to be a little tough, you know what I mean? And that's why we kind of bang and hit a little bit more than we probably should sometimes. But dude, it gets the kids ready to go and they get excited for it too. Like it's fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess for me, it's more the like confidence piece. Like kind of going back to what you're talking about in the weight room. Like once they're up there and like you give that kid the first time he hits 2 1/4 on the bench, where he puffs his chest out, he's walking around, and like, dude, you barely got that 2 1/4 up. Like,
they don't care.
I spotted you, and I had to curl it. Like, I'm sweating from spotting you, and that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But he's like, nope, I'm the big dog now in the weight room, and that confidence piece is kind of that toughness aspect of it. Like,
I mean, do you blame him though? Because do you remember the
absolutely
first time
not.
you hit 225? I was like, oh my god, I am a man.
No, absolutely.
They're feeling the same way,
Yeah, but to me, that's how you build that confidence or the toughness is just through confidence. Like tackling, blocking, all that it is just through confidence. And once they feel more confident about doing stuff, they're not going to be as shy about doing it. And we don't go as live as often as you guys because we throw the ball more. So there's not as much banging just through our practice. But, like, we tackle every day. Like, we don't necessarily live tackle, but our boys feel confident of coming up and running through a dude. So, like, that confidence piece definitely is what kind of leads to our kids being tougher. I don't think it's any, like, secret sauce, but I think if you give them the tools to be confident and, like, hey, I know what I'm doing, I can play fast, and I can get to the ball, like, I just feel better about myself. I feel better about what we're doing.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, like, I agree with you, too. Like, we tackle every day. Like, we have a circuit tackle every single day.
Yeah.
And, like you're saying, it helps with especially confidence because tackling, I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of a hard thing. It's like it's human nature. You can avoid people really easily and running the ball, you're fine. But, like, getting your body ready and like your head ready to like physically hit something with your own body, it's just like, oh god. And like, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I was ever in pads, I felt it when I was a freshman in high school. I was like, holy crap. I mean, luckily for me though, like I was in Taekwondo when I was young, so like getting hit wasn't the worst thing in the world. But like some of these kids never had that opportunity for any of that stuff. So like when you give them a plan on how to hit, how to tackle, how to block, like I think that works. I think Atavis does a really good job of that. I don't know. I've never used them before, but after, listening to McDonald and a couple other coaches talk about it, I'm really considering like, hitting them up and asking them, what can you guys do? Why is your tackling system better than, whatever the stuff we use? Because we've been using the hawk tackling roll since it came out.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, dude. Like I agree with you. Like that confidence piece is huge, especially with kids. And then when they're a little bit more confident, like, all right, I can run through a wall now. And then that toughness just kind of rolls with it.
Yeah. So let's get question 3, also from Coach Reeves. He threw a couple at us. How do you delegate your coaching responsibilities? And, like, how do you discern what part of the program you have your hands-on approach and others you observe but let your assistants take the reins? And, like, for me, Like, I'm sorry about that, but dog wants to eat. For me, I hire my staff. So I'm going to hire guys that I trust, I feel confident in, and I hire them to do a job. So I'm going to put them in charge of things that I feel as though they're capable of doing. So I feel confident about their ability to do so. I'm not going to say that I don't have my hands in everything. Like, I understand all the stuff we're doing schematically, off defensively and in special teams. And like, if I don't like something I'm seeing, I'm going to pull the head coach card and say, yeah, we got to get rid of that. But for the most part, I'm going to let them be them. I'm going to let them show their personality, and I'm going to let them kind of roll with what they think is right, because I hired them to do that job. If I wanted to be crazy like McDonald and do every single aspect, right, do every single aspect of the game, I wouldn't hire a staff. I just do it all myself. But
yeah, dude, I'm kind of on your same boat. Honestly, like my first year as a head coach for the whole program, I should have learned how to delegate more, you know, because I definitely wore myself out, wore myself thin in so many places. And like it actually trickles down to not just, you know, your own well-being, but like your family starts to see it. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things that my wife told me after the first year is over. She's like, you got to learn to delegate a little bit, because right now you're not you. And I was like, you know, I kind of took a little offense to it. I was like, but I'm working my ass off. Yep. But that's not what she was trying to say. You know what I mean? She's like, you're stressed out, and it's affecting you, and it's affecting me. And it's like, okay, I get it. Second year was better. And, you know, we learned to delegate a lot. The one thing, though, that I really wish I didn't have my hands in a lot of was fundraising. Like, I don't want to. I mean, we have to, right? We have to. But I don't want to. And so I was trying to build a parent booster club, because our school just doesn't have it. But and it was going all right. But then COVID hit. So, you know, this is the third year it was going to be in existence. And then it kind of just fell off the wayside right now. I guess you said you got to hire your staff, right? In California, when you get a head coaching job, you kind of inherit the staff that's there.
Okay.
You know, and so you don't really get to pick your guys sometimes. And sometimes those are the best available guys you can get anyways.
Right.
And then you got to figure out the shuffle. Like, okay, you used to coach this, but now you're going to coach that. If you don't like it, sorry, bro. So yeah, dude, like the staff that I have though right now, like I definitely trust. Like they've been around for 2 years now. And I've told them, if you suck after 2 years, you're done. And it's like, here's a list of the things I want you to do. I kind of give them a breakdown of, all right, this is the position you're coaching. Here's your responsibilities. Here's what I'm expecting out of you. And here's what the kids should expect out of you. And then, you know, it just kind of goes from there. I've seen coaches like have their assistant coaches sign it as a contract. And I'm like, I mean, I hired you for a reason. So I'm going to trust you. Like you said, like you do you. If I don't hit exactly, I'm pulling the HC card and this has got to go. Like we ain't doing this. So yeah, I think, did I answer his whole questions? I'm pretty sure I started
I think so. Like, I mean, I think a big key is having that program manual though. Like the expectations of this is what you guys are going to do. Like, we go through that every year, and I revise it every year. Have
to, right? Because you learn more things from year to year.
Yeah. Right. Because, my first year, like, I didn't think about anything as far as game day responsibilities. And guys are like, game one, they're like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I'm going to be on the field coaching. So, like, I guess you go to the booth. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to watch in the booth?
Like, well, here's your list.
Right. Like, dude,
that's the hard part, too. Some guys, like, I know the booth is a little different. And I've been in the booth a few years of coaching, but it's just like, how do you not know what we're looking for? You know what we're doing on offense. You know what we're doing on defense. Like, there's a certain thing that you should be looking for. You should know, but sometimes you just got to, like, lay it out for some dudes and, like, you know, make it as clear cut as you can possibly make it.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the questions we get a little bit later on.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah. So here's the next one. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do this one. No, actually, I'm going to read this, but you're going to go first.
Okay.
I don't know if you use a 3-4, but using a 3-4, we are pretty good. But I've been trying to find ways to name my fronts or plays with catchy names like the offensive coordinators do. First of all, I'm going to stop right there because offensive coordinators are the worst people in the world. So don't worry about what they're doing. All right. They just want to smooth through the ball, score points. Like they mess up on a play, they play the next down, right? We mess up on a play on defense, they score a touchdown. They're the worst people. I'm going to keep going. Do you guys have any cool names for 3-3, 4-4, or I think it's tight? And this is from Coach Garcia. He's coaching high school ball in Texas. All right, dude. What do you think?
Yeah, so before I became an offense coordinator, I did do a little defense coordinator. I did do a little defense coordinating, and we did do some calls for like a tight front and stuff like that, and it would just be like one-word calls.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we used
Is that one word though, set your front, like a blitz and your coverage behind it, or
we would use one for each. Okay. So like if so it was a JV team, so we didn't get real crazy in our coverage. So we did a lot of like cover 3. So like if we did a 404, that tight front, we called it Pinnacle because 4 for golf. Pinnacle is a golf brand. And yeah, the kids were like all about it. Like I really just let the kids kind of pick the name.
I think that helps when you let the kids pick the names.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's something that they associate with and they're going to remember easily.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like I love the wing tee, but there was a few years I was in a spread offense. I didn't like it, but I mean, I had to roll with it. I wasn't the head coach. And we hand signaled stuff in. Mm-hmm. I let them kind of pick what the hand signal was for certain plays. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense. Sorry, keep going.
But yeah, so like for that stuff, I had the kids pick the calls, like whatever they thought. Like we did like an overfront was like Hulk. I don't know why, but that's what they decided. I was like, cool, man. Like if that's what you want to roll with, because at the end of the day, they got to remember it. I have it on a sheet, right? Like I'm sitting on the sideline. I'm just going to go Hulk, fire, cover 3, right? Yeah. Like coverage wise though. Like I really like a rolled cover 3 more than just a spot drop 3. So like we would use S names and W names. So like we did Stanford for a strong roll 3, and then we did Wisconsin for a weak roll 3.
Mm-hmm. I would do something like that. Like if I did it like that, I would definitely do like little pockets or buckets of calls. Like how your coverage. You said Stanford and Wisconsin, so they're colleges. So whatever other coverage I would have besides cover 3, they would be a different college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, blitzes. Maybe your blitzes are NFL teams.
Right.
And, you would go with that. But like you said, we're talking about earlier, let the kids name some stuff. Mm-hmm. And then when they start naming things, then like start to categorize it. That's how I would think about it. I mean, I guess I'm very like linear like that. If it's a college, cool. I know it's a coverage I'm listening for. Right. On our defense, we run a 3-4, and last year we were primarily in tight, pretty much 90% of the time. But we didn't have any cool coverage calls or cool names. I straight up told them like the way we call it is I call the front, and we didn't have Tiger or over under. I would just literally tell them numbers.
Right.
And, so the offensive line has a numbering system, right? And so if I wanted one guy in a 3, I'd say, and we'd always go from left to right, like how you read. So it'd be 3-0-5. And so the one would line up in a 3, one would be in a 0, one would be in a 5. And, it was just, reduction over and stuff. And if we wanted to stem, I would just say stem and then the call. Because if they heard stem, they knew they can pretty much line up wherever they wanted.
Okay.
And then but we always have a set pattern too. So it goes front, blitz, and then coverage, right? And sometimes I'm not going to lie, the stuff that came out of my mouth or the hand signals we had were a little long.
Yeah.
But I think the advantage was that every kid knew what they were doing, coverage, and I think, or in that specific play. And sometimes like one word doesn't tell the kid what they're doing, and then what was that again? But as long as you have a way for a kid to remember something, I think you're going to be fine. Again, I don't worry about being flashy calls on defense or offense. Actually, just line up and go, but just tell them what they're doing. If they're remembering, one word calls, cool, let them do that. If they need the whole thing, well, maybe they don't need the whole thing, but I need the whole thing. It helps
that
me.
Control piece. Like, I want to be able to move Jimmy.
Right, yeah. I just
my
want
dude.
one guy, you're over here.
Right.
That's it. That's all I want. And so, yeah, but like the way we call our defense, it allows me to move that one guy there.
Right.
And I guess the other part too is how you teach it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like we're coaches and like we want to win football games, but you're a teacher to start. I've heard a few people say that high school football is the best taught subject in high school. And you know what? I think they're right, you know, because we break it down to like the literal stance and footstep.
Right.
You know, and that's not just like at the beginning of the season. That's pretty much every freaking day.
Right.
You know, so like we really do break stuff down and teach as, you know, in depth as the subject should be taught. And, you know, in high school right now, that's probably not the case. A lot of people doing distance learning and stuff, and they're just expecting kids to kind of, all right, here's some work, you go.
Yeah.
And yeah. All right.
No, totally agree with you. Getting to the next one.
Go for it.
How would you guys go about improving the team atmosphere? I feel like program is very negative. Offense blames defense type stuff. Coach Buchan from Scotland.
Dude,
around the world here.
I'm looking at our list of questions right now, and I'm like, can we just move to Europe?
Right.
They get to do stuff right now, right?
Right.
So team morale, again, that's something that we actually start in the off season. And I don't know like how big your guys' off season is in Scotland, or like how much time you actually get to spend with these guys. But since we're at school with them, we get to see them pretty much every day.
Right.
So obviously we have weight room, right? But every Thursday, we lift for like maybe 30 minutes, and then we go outside and play a game. Like we've been playing before COVID hit. We played wiffle ball. We played this thing we like to call eagle ball. It's a combination of soccer and like ultimate frisbee.
Okay.
It's super fun, dude. And once the kids understand the rules, it's cool. Like you can score points in the goal, but you can score them 3 different ways. You can throw it, kick it, or head it in.
Okay.
And if it like bounces actually off the team that's not a goalie, then it's 5 points, and then the kids just lose their stuff. It's super fun. And so we do stuff like that every Thursday to help, you know, just give the kids, you know, an outlet. They're playing with their friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not just seriously lifting. They're playing with their friends, and they think it's fun. And honestly, I think it's fun. You know, I play with them. It's great. And then in the summertime off season, like we try to schedule trips. We've gone paintballing a few times. That's been super fun. And, you know, when the kids start to build that community and that family, it really helps when the shit hits the fan on Friday night. You know what I mean? And it's just like, all right, like you guys messed up. I got you though. Like we're going to get this back. Or don't worry, you guys gave up a touchdown. We're going to go right back and score 2. Like it really helps. But the hard part is, like I said, in Scotland, I don't know how much time you get to spend with these guys.
Right. Yeah. And like, I know in Germany, they are more club teams. So like, I don't know if in Scotland it's the same idea. So like the one thing I would think would be to do more, like kind of redefine what you mean by winning, like what your winning is. Because obviously winning at the end of the game, if you're not a good team, that's not going to change overnight, right? Like if you're bad, you're not going to, you're bad. So tomorrow you're not going to,
but right now it's not working.
Right. So you gotta kind of give the team some goals and do more goal setting and say, hey, this is what our goal is for after the first quarter. Maybe you're going up against the best team in your league, and you say, okay, well, at the end of the first quarter, we want to make sure that they score less than 2 touchdowns. That's your defensive goal. Or you want to make sure you get, 3 first downs by the end of the first half. Like just small things that they could kind of hang their hat on. And I mean, that was my first year at Elmwood Park. We were not that great. It's not a historically good program. And we had to do more just small goals to kind of get the kids to understand what winning is. And once they kind of bought into that, they realized like, hey, no, like we could do this. And then you build off of winning, right? Like winning breeds winning. And if you are always telling them kind of how bad they're doing, or if they're constantly losing, then they're never getting that taste of success. And you got to do that in practice too. Like you got to have games kind of built in so that then your defense is winning. If your defense is struggling, you got to set up competition so your defense kind of beats your offense every once in a while.
Yeah, that happened year one for sure. We had to do stuff like that. I had something else to say, and I can't even remember. I started listening to you, and I'm like, all right, this is good. I like that. And then it's gone. Maybe it'll come back. I don't know. Like, I had something else for you, dude. Sorry, I forgot who we're talking to right now. Let me look.
Fucking.
Buckin?
Yeah, Coach.
Oh, yeah, they're from Scotland. My bad, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, if I remember, like, hit us up, or I'll try to hit you up. I think we asked you some information where we can contact you, but I can't remember right now. So
yeah,
we're gonna move on to the next question.
Yeah, and we're going to throw some of these questions out to our Facebook group. So, like, guys, also make sure you join our Facebook group, and you might see your question pop up again and get more than just us two answering it, finding out what we think. So, next question. What are the best pursuit drills for kickoff? That's Coach Roger from France.
Okay. All right. Kickoff pursuit drills. Honestly, so do you really work pursuit in your coverage? Like, I understand, like, we're running down to make a tackle, right? And I think that's what you mean instead.
Right.
But
because that's what I was thinking. Because I have a real good drill that I like for that.
Okay.
But as far as, like, pursuit per se, like, staying in your lanes, like, I don't know that there's a drill that we really do that works on just staying in our lanes and making sure we're working downfield. You know, like our gunners go to the ball, our safeties stay 10 yards behind the play, and then everyone else stays in their lane, right? Like, that's we don't really rep it that much.
Yeah, honestly, we honestly should probably rep it a little bit more. The drill though that we tend to do is we have one of the guys on kickoff, and then he's got like a little gauntlet to go through. So like we have like the first line, it's a live guy, and he's trying to block him, and we tell him to avoid that first guy.
Okay.
Right? Just do your best, avoid that first guy. If he takes you way off of your spot, work your ass back in there after you run past him, right? And then the second level is two guys, but they're trying to block him as well. And his job is to make contact with that second level.
Okay.
And so then he's like, giving them a shoulder and picking aside, giving them a shoulder. And, then we have a third guy back there. And that third guy is the ball carrier. And we don't we only give him a confined space to run, because if we give him the whole field, he's never going to catch him.
No.
So we give them a confined space to run, and then their job is to fit up and make a tackle. And I'm not saying bring them to the ground and smack them. I'm just saying, break down, fit up, and make sure you have the correct shoulder up with the correct foot up, and then tag off, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
I'm also going to kind of cheat this question a little bit because since we've been off so long, I've been watching a lot of YouTube, and there is a series on, I can't remember what the actual channel is, but they followed Coach Kelly in Arkansas, the guy who never punts, right?
Right.
And so, like, I'm like, dude, I think this man's on to something. And, I've heard his stuff for the past, like, 5 or 6 years. But I actually got to watch it because they show the game footage. Right. And I'm like, there's like 4 different types of onside kicks he's doing. And the ball spins a bunch of different ways. Right. And like, dude, I think because we got a bunch of soccer players on our team. And I'm like, we can do this. And I'm like, this is interesting. I don't know what the reception's going to be because I'm pretty sure there's going to be, those coaches up in the stands.
Right.
What are you doing? And I'm like, bro, you want to see the math? Like, here it is. But yeah, dude, it's interesting. I'm really considering the onside kick being used on our team this year a lot.
And you're also the DC for your team, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like, you only put your group in a bad position.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Like, as the head coach,
some toughness.
Right. Well, as the head coach and offensive coordinator, if I'm like, we're onside kicking every time, my DC's like throwing everything out. He's like, of course we're onside kicking. Might as well start him on the 20.
But the math is pretty solid, like most, like if you looked at it, or maybe if you chart your own, you know what I mean? Like you can see the average starting position that the team's got. And then you can kind of like gauge where they're going to be according to where the onside kick would be if they recovered it. And honestly, I think the difference is like maybe 10 yards.
Right.
And then, but on an onside kick, you have an opportunity to get the ball back.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's probably going to be an onside kick every time. Maybe we pooch it up really high in the air and kind of do it that way. And then, just kind of sprinkle that stuff in. But, it's just really intriguing to me. And honestly, I've been a head coach at every single level, so freshman, JV, and varsity. And when I coached the freshmen, we onside kicked almost every time. And it was just fun. The kids bought into it. It was fun. And honestly, I had fun coming up with new ways to do it. It was great. And yeah, we had this kicker though that would kind of go, "Oh God!" It's like, bro, just run.
Well, it's something that your opponent has to prepare for, right? Like,
right, yeah.
They have to take 15 minutes every day and work onside kick, because if they don't, you're going to get probably 2 extra possessions that game.
Yeah, at least. And if you get 2 extra possessions, those are basically 2 turnovers.
Right.
You're probably going to win the game.
Right.
No matter
Right.
what
You're just +2 now in the turnover count.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
right. Next question.
All right. So, next question. We're going down to Coach Maddox again from Germany. What drills do you guys use with your defense?
You want to go first or you want me to go first?
I just had a couple. I wrote down basically one for each position group. Because we do kind of the basic drills of like 7-on-7, inside run when we go to team. But for our D-line, linebackers, and DBs, these are some of the ones we kind of like. So for D-line, we do the first step read drill for the O-line. So we partner them up, and then we're doing spill and splatter is what we do with our D-line. So they're just working their footwork, and we do that for like 3-4 minutes, and they're just getting a reach step, getting down, reach, down, and they just kind of go off of that. Linebackers, we do a guard read drill that my linebacker coach really likes. And basically you have your 2 middle linebackers, and they are just basically fitting up into every situation that they're going to get from those guards, because guards are their reads. And again, that's like 3 to 4 minutes, and that gets them through all of kind of those everyday things that they're going to see.
Drills, right?
Yeah. So, and I think we stole that one from, I want to say the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, put it up on Twitter or something like that. And DC was like, "That is great. I'm stealing that for sure." I'm like, "Okay, man." And then, and then DB drill wise is just 2-1 none. Just staying in front of getting 2 hands on, getting 1 hand on, and then obviously no hands on when we're doing some man coverage stuff. So that just footwork wise and kind of getting up into somebody.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of cheat the question again. And here's the reason why is because like I feel like the question needs to be a little bit more specific. Because according to whatever defensive scheme you're running, your drills are going to change.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that especially those older coaches don't realize. Like they're just going to do drills that, they remember doing because they remember doing it in high school or in college or whatever. And they think, oh, yeah, we'll just do those. And that doesn't really fit. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like if you're, doing a drill that does not fit your scheme, I think then you need to reconsider what you're doing for your drills every single day. For us, we are like a zone match, coverage team. But at the end of the day, even zone coverage turns into man-to-man. You know what I mean? So we tend to do a little bit. Obviously, we teach them like footwork and stuff like that. But we tend to do, a little bit more man-to-man drills because it's like I said, at the end, it's usually one guy with one guy. That's man-to-man. It doesn't even matter if you're dropping deep third or fourth in quarters. It's man-to-man coverage. So you got to, learn how to man up with that guy. I think for corners and DBs, we do a lot of like ball in the air drills with someone, like ripping the elbow, so like if they have to catch it, they're catching it, making a great catch with one hand.
Right.
And then like the same goes with D-line stuff. Like we do a read drill with our D-line, but it's very specific to our scheme. Yeah. It's not just a, we're gonna read this D-line or this O-lineman on the first step. And then our overhangs with our outside linebackers, they have completely different drills to do than our middle linebackers. So like since I was coaching the linebackers and I don't have an inside and outside linebacker coach, I would use the outside linebackers for the inside guys. So that's their read. And then we'd switch it around and we would do another drill for the outside guys specifically. And so like if they saw a ball, our outside linebackers would trigger because they have C gap.
Mm-hmm.
And if we blitzed them off the edge, there was a drill specifically that we used because we would peel. So if our linebacker was blitzing, but a back, ran a bubble outside, from his halfback spot, our linebacker would peel with it. And so like they had to obviously learn that because that's not something that they've been taught before, like they've been doing. And like I said, they're just drills that are specific to your particular scheme. Those are probably the best drills to do.
Yeah.
You can't just pull here, pull there, pull there. Like that linebacker drill that you were talking about. I think I saw that and it was great. And it might not work for the scheme that you're doing because I don't think 3-3-5 guys do that.
Right. Because why would you?
A lot about 3-3-5, but I'm pretty sure you're not reading guards like that.
Right.
So
because you don't have two guys in the middle anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, you want to take your drills. If your drill doesn't show up on your game tape,
don't do it.
It's not a drill we're doing. And that's pretty much what we do. That's what I do for the offense, and that's what we do for the defense. And it has been a mind shift or a thought process shift, like you were saying before, of like, well, this is just a drill I've always done. Well, how's it getting us better?
Yeah.
Well, it's the drill we do.
Right? Yeah. It's just a drill we do. It's like, no, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was guilty of it, when I was 26 or 25 when I first started coaching. Like we just did this drill because that's what I did in high school or I did in college. And like, no, that's not good enough anymore. So like now with, the older coaches and even the younger coaches, like we sit down and we got to talk about it. Like what drills do you think we're doing? And if it doesn't match our scheme, cross that thing out. And if you need to find another one and you don't know how to find another one, or maybe you can't make one up, then like, I'll help you. Like, I'm not going to just tell you, okay, well, you figure this out. But they don't know what to figure out. So I think it's also important too that the coaches really know your scheme as well. Yeah. And that way they can come up with the drills if we don't have it already laid out for them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then we get a little bit more of an idea from Coach Maddox there. Coach Maddox hit us up a lot.
Yeah, he did. Looking at the next question.
So he runs a 4-2-5. What advice do we have for as far as cover 3, 3-by-1, so trips, and 2-by-2? So just kind of your basic spread formations.
Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters it kind of does matter what front you're in, but the coverages that I'm probably going to talk about, like you can run them out of a 3-4 or you can run them out of a 4-2-5. If they're in a basic 2-by-2, we're going to probably be in 2 different coverages, one of 2 different coverages, which is basically, cover 4, or we're going to be in 2 read or palms, right? And I'm kind of toying with the idea of like that Rip Liz coverage that everyone's talking about with Saban, because we're doing a blitz scheme where it's 3 under 3 deep this year.
Right.
And I think it would match well with what, that has going on. So yeah, for 2-by-2, we're probably there. But honestly too, you got to consider what part of the field you're on.
Right.
I mean, obviously, everyone's dream is to always play in the middle of the field sometimes, but that's obviously not the case, right? Like I think the middle of the field play is less than 20% of the time.
Yeah.
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 So like, you could do split field coverage, like we're playing 2 read in the boundary and cover 4 to the field. With 3-by-1, honestly, there's so many different coverages out there with 3-by-1. Some people just stay in like a vanilla country old cover 3 drop, and it's like, that's not good enough anymore. But you do you. If it works for you, it works for you, right? And maybe that's what you know how to coach. Last year we did a coverage called special, and you can honestly probably look it up and find it everywhere. I know that there's a bunch of coaches that have put stuff out there for, like Cody Alexander has a bunch of stuff on special, but it's not always called special. Like it's special, stubby, stump, some other things and stuff like that. But basically, like from what I understanding is the corner is locked up 1-to-1, man on man with number 1, and the nickel or your money or whatever, the star, whatever you want to call it, is paired up with the safety behind them, and they're running 2 read spots.
So kind of like we called it a mini 2.
I think people call it mini. Yeah. So we would do that a lot. We would obviously have like another coverage behind it because sometimes coordinators figured out what we were doing, so we had to change it. And honestly, they should figure out what we're doing, because if a coordinator can't figure out or see what we're trying to do, then we probably need a new coordinator, But that forces me on the other side to make a different call, Like
Right.
that's always the inside the game.
Right.
There's a little chess match going on.
Yep.
So yeah, but that was the primary coverage we were in with a 3x1. Do you guys have anything different?
So like my thing would be, it depends on kind of the skill level of your kids and the amount of time you get, right? Like, because all of those take a little bit of time, like to master and get good.
You got to wrap the crap out of
right. Like, so like my advice would be, if you don't have the luxury of time, or if you're trying to do this in a week, like, or if you have just skill wise not the greatest skill, I would go with the spot drop 3. And then have a change up of like a cover 1 and just go man. And just run with those too. Like, a lot of people can get by with, I mean, there's a lot of teams that just try and play man across the board. I'm not saying that's a great idea.
Honestly, yeah, like I agree with you though. Like, play one coverage, get good at that one.
Right.
If you guys aren't very good, and that way they're always used to that, and then have like that one change up. Like, we did that a few years ago where we played cover 3, and then our change up was playing man.
Right.
It wasn't that hard. We needed 2 coverages, and it got us through the season, and we actually did all right, So it was like, all right.
Well, and your cost analysis in practice, right? Like, okay, well, I'm not going through a cover 2, an inverted cover 2, 4 palms, playing mini. Like, I'm not trying to rep all that throughout the week. I'm just repping cover 3, and then I'm repping man. Like, so it depends on your time situation.
Right. Some things are expensive.
Yes.
You know what I mean? By expensive, I mean like it takes time.
Right.
And at practice, the time is the most important part. Like, how efficient are you with that time? So yeah, I agree. Like, it just depends on what you can teach, and then what your kids can pick up, and like how cost effective is your time with all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, one more coverage. I got it. Solo or poach, where like we're playing basically cover 4 on the front end with the flip side, but our backside free safety picks up anything vertical from number 3.
Okay.
And then our Mike would run wall with that for a little bit to help him out a little bit. That actually, works out pretty good. Maybe we should start drawing stuff. I'm not going to do that today, but
that's going to be on the Facebook. That's going to be on Facebook. They got to go to Facebook for that.
All right. Cool. I'm down.
All right. So we got question 9. We're almost halfway through these.
Okay, good.
So someone from my neck of the woods here.
Oh, that Illinois area.
Yeah. I'm looking for ways to improve our self-scouting and player evaluation from huddle film. How do other coaches evaluate their players during practice and games? Do you have documents that shared with position coaches, players that must be filled out? How do you share evaluations with players without wasting a whole day of practice? Coach McLaughlin from Illinois.
Oh, God. That is a loaded question.
I couldn't break that one up. I mean, that one all kind of flowed together.
Yeah, definitely.
So for what we did after our scrimmage, in Illinois, we only get one scrimmage. So after our scrimmage that Saturday, we'd bring them all in, and we'd say, hey, pick your plays. I'd give them like 10 plays, 15 plays they'd have to cut up, and they'd have to grade themselves out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it was great for the scrimmage, but after the scrimmage, not everybody plays every week.
That's true. Yeah.
And so that was kind of hard to do every week. That was my original goal. Is like every week you're going to have to grade yourself, and then we regroup and we talk about it. But after the scrimmage was good, because you'd have those kids that were god awful, and they'd be like, "Nope, I was a plus 20, coach." I'm like, "Dude, how are you a plus 20? You weren't in on a single play. You were literally 30 yards away from every play, and the offense didn't gain a yard. You played D end. We ran to your side, and you were still 30 yards away from the play. Like, that's bad, dude."
That's plus 20, coach. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. So that was one way that I tried to do it. I wasn't a huge fan. The way we kind of do it now is just we meet as a staff weekly, and we discuss our personnel. We normally are discussing our twos and threes more than our starters, because your starters are pretty set after week 2, right? Like, who's the
guy there. Yeah.
So it's more our number 2s and 3s, and anybody that we saw in a sophomore game that we might think, hey, down the line, this might be a kid we want to look at, or our frost off game. Down the line, this is a kid we might want to bring up. So really, it's we don't waste too much time as far as like bringing the kids in. We'll talk about it in film, like, hey, Jimmy, you did this wrong again, and then we'll kind of walk through it. And then during the week of practice, that's how we tailor our practice to what we need our guys to really understand and hit home with that. But we don't have, like, on paper, we don't have a document, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I'd necessarily want a document. Like, 'cause some of the things that we say in film aren't necessarily what I want little Johnny bringing home to his mom or dad and saying, hey, Coach Mack said this about me today.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yeah. So I don't know about you guys, but that's there's nothing, I guess there's nothing official.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So I think honestly, in a perfect world that I coach in, there would be like a Google form or a Google, like, survey that you fill out per kid. And honestly, I kind of did this at the end of the season last year, and I called it their Eagle rating. So kind of like a Madden rating. Yeah. And I graded all their stuff, and the score was out of 100, and they could see where I thought they ranked. And like, that kind of got them pumped, but for in the season, I know that I usually grade on like a 3-point scale. And especially on defense was alignment, assignment, and technique. I think I threw a fourth one in there with like a hustle. Okay. Like, if they loaf, I'd give them like a negative, because I'm like, nope, that ain't gonna cut it. I'm not gonna lie though, I did not do a very good job of sharing it with the kids. And I think now, like, with all this distance learning crap, we're gonna be forced to, work more electronically. And so, like, it's an easy way to share it now. Just like, I have them all right now in Google Classroom, and now we can just post it. And like, these things aren't private. You played publicly, so you're about to get, shown grade publicly. So, we're going to see, who's doing what correctly. I've actually, though, seen and been part of other clinics where coaches have a 4-3-2-1 as fields in huddle. And so I think they grade their kids that way. I didn't ask them, and maybe I should have, of like how they do that. Yeah. But I thought that was really interesting. And I think the coach said that their offensive line coach really is a stickler of like how, like, technique and all this stuff. And that's why he put those fields in there. And I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. So yeah. And then I know I interviewed a coach. Oh God, I can't remember his name right now. I'm going to look him up right now because it's going to bug me. Mason Hughes. He coaches in, I don't know, it's not really Southern California. It's like in Central Valley, but he had a really good rating system of his players, but he also does it with the opponents that week.
Well, and that's a lot of what you're saying is how I break down the opponents. Like, I guess for self-scout, you do basically what you do to scout your opponents, right? Yeah. But yeah, I just haven't gone that far.
Yeah. I mean, not, it's harder as a head coach. Honestly, like, I want to throw that on the coordinator, especially my offensive coordinator. Like, self-scout yourself. You're the one calling these plays. I'm not calling these plays, like you are. So self-scout yourself. And he's got an essential job, so he's pretty busy, but it's like, just like an hour on huddle and then click sort. Reports pop up, bro. Like, right. So, but yeah, dude, like, yeah, I think that answers the question. But I think a weekly evaluation is doable, but also too, you got to like figure out how much time you want to spend on it. Because we have finite hours in the day too. Like, how many hours do you want to spend with huddle? And then, if you have a family, they want some of your time, and you kind of got to throw it there too.
Well, and I guess what's the value of it? It would be my thing. Like, is it because you have 30 guys that are at that same level that you're trying to sort out? Or do you have a clear-cut top 11 defensively that you're putting out there, and the next, 3 kind of make their case, and then after that, it's rough, Like, if you get past the first, 12 or 13 dudes, and you got to throw the next group it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're probably not coming out with a victory. So I mean, that's where I guess it's that expense, right? Like what we were talking about before. Like it's an expensive process, and is that expense really worth it? And now it's not practice time, but it is your personal time.
That's true. Like the personal time is the time that you really need. I do have a little bit more of an answer for that last part. How do you share the evaluation? So I know I talked about Google Classroom and stuff, but I think what I ended up doing was like, I had that 4-point system, and then I divided it by how many plays they were in, so you get a percentage. And then, in another document, I shared that with them. And honestly, in high school, my one of the best coaches I ever had, he did that for us. But he would actually post the percentages in the locker room.
Okay.
So you would see your grade. I mean, it's the same thing, I guess, as posting it in the football Google Classroom that we have, but it's like, oh, damn, I thought I played good. Dude, coach hates me. But he would go over it. And honestly, he would only take like 5-10 minutes on a Monday, like explaining why your grade's this bad. Or he would just talk shit to you because well, like, Gonzalez, you were terrible. I was like, oh, damn, I'm sorry, coach. I thought I did good.
Well, and for the most part, that's what you're doing when you're breaking down film with them anyway, right? Like, you're going over the things that they did well, things that they did poorly. Like, at least that's what I'm hoping. Like, you're not just lighting them up, telling them how much they suck.
Yeah, dude, for real.
You're loving them up just as much as you're beating them down. Not a little bit more loving them up. So it's just, how do you want to put a value on it, right? Like doing a 4-point system, you tell your assistant coaches, hey, you need to grade every single one of your players, but don't stress about it, I guess would be my big thing. Like if you're spending, an extra 20 hours a week because you're grading your players every single day, I don't know that the cost of that really is beneficial. Yeah. Because unless you're at a high-end high school that you have just dudes out of the woodwork, I don't think you're going to find like that diamond in the rough. Like,
that's true. That's true.
So,
okay, let's go to question number 10 with Coach Thomas in Norway. Dude, I'm thinking I'm going to move if these guys play football like as much as we're reading. Let's move to Europe because we were there for our honeymoon and the wife did not want to leave. Okay, so how detailed do you program your year in advance? Do you finish and block up all practices for the whole year, or do you divide the year into focus points? Or do you do something completely different?
So for us, like every year, I'd say our practice plan is a little bit different. So like I'll go through and tweak it like to the different segments that I want. Like this year, I want more routes on air because that was something I felt we struggled with. And knowing the group that we're coming in, I know that routes on air is going to be a big one. And we were changing the way we called plays. So I know that we need to get more reps where I don't need a defense out there. I need them to understand like this word means this play because it's the COVID, they can't have wristbands anymore.
What?
Well, because then they can't share the wristband.
Oh my God. Well, every kid gets a wristband then.
Well, but every kid did have a wristband, but then they didn't bring it. And then they'd be like, hey, Johnny, just use mine. And they can't do that. Like,
crazy. Okay.
Yeah, I was talking to Sean Loyola about it, and he's like, yeah, dude, like, you're going to open yourself up. I'm like, dude, I didn't even think about that. I was like, well, we're one word playing it this year. But the kids like that idea. So, but I knew we would need more time for that. But, like, outside of that, I don't know that we really, like, we have, like, this is what we're going to get in. And now I also only have a 3-day install for offense, and our defense is on a 4-day install. So after pretty much 3 days on offense and 4 days on defense, everything's in, and then we're just getting reps.
I mean, it's only 3 days, right? Because you have like what one run play.
We have like almost 3 run plays.
Almost 3, yeah. So
almost 3.
Inside zone, a draw, and a screen's not a run play.
Oh. Well, no, we do screens on itself. We have more screens than we do run plays.
Got you. I bet you do. You're one of those. See, I told you guys, offensive guys are the devils. So I guess I'm looking at this question a little bit differently than you because he asked, how detailed do you program your year? we already talked about like how we have to be involved in fundraising and where we put ourselves, right? So like at the end of every year, I actually go out and buy a new calendar starting in January, and I map out everything until like our first scrimmage. And that involves like what weeks we're fundraising, when our lifting starts, when our spring ball starts, when summer practices. You got to be very cognizant of like any holidays that are there. It's just, stuff like that. That's what I picture for the whole year.
Okay.
And as soon as like the season gets started, like then we kind of break that down week to week.
Right.
But we have a 4-day install for offense. And then we have a 4-day install for defense too. So like we kind of match. In terms of like our practices and our practice schedule, honestly, I detail everything to 5-minute increments.
Yeah.
Like we're doing this for this amount of time, and it'll say like, 4 o'clock stretch. And then it'll go like, I'm generous. I give them 10 minutes. The kids don't need 10 minutes because we talked about how fast it goes.
Right.
But then that kind of like those extra minutes you kind of need, because sometimes, there's transition times to think about, or, like if a group of guys needs water and it's like, all right, like I used to be like, no, we only get water during this certain time. But honestly, like when the kids need it now, I'm just like, all right, go get some, need it, like grab it. We've actually got pretty fortunate where we had, they were kind of a distraction to the kids, but there were girls that volunteered to be water girls during practice.
Yeah.
So they would fill it up and walk around the stations, and sometimes they'd watch the boys, talking to them like, we're here on the field. Come on, like, you chill out. You do you out when we're done. All right. So like, you're always trying to steal those little minutes or seconds that you can. But yeah, everything is in practice time is detailed all the way down to 5 minutes. And I don't like to be out there for longer than 2.5 hours. Like that's a long practice for us, is 2.5 hours. And we'll have like 2.5 hour practices a week. And then we'll usually cut it down to like 2:05 or even 2 hours flat. And we usually, we don't even condition, because the practice is so fast moving that, the boys are just tired going from spot to spot, so it's like, we don't even got to condition. Like we might do like a sprint or two to get them warmed up, but we're not like, after, I wouldn't say after practice, like we're not, doing those 50-yard sprints for the last 10 minutes of practice, because they're getting so many reps all the time that those kids are in shape. So I think that answers his question.
Yeah, and no, I mean, Gonzalez, you hit it on the head. Like my off season is pretty much planned out, blocked out to a T, and then in season is week to week. Even in the summer, like we get summer ball, and like if I know we have a 7-on-7 coming up at the end of the week, we'll probably put a little bit more emphasis and time into our 7-on-7, just so we're prepared. You don't want to go somewhere and look foolish. But obviously for game week, we're going to prepare for what we're going to see that week.
Yeah.
So
I think we do 2 7-on-7s a year. We don't need that crap.
We don't do many. Like as much as I love 7-on-7, it's just not a realistic thing. Like the kids like it. I do it for the kids.
It's for kids. Sure, let's just keep saying it. It's for them kids. Hey, you know what? I'm looking at the next question. I don't know if you can answer this.
I'm just going to leave. I'll be back.
Okay, so question number 11 from Coach Coleman out in Tennessee, and he's asking, what type of wing T do you run? Explain how you run your offense, and what do you run and why? Okay, I think that's a pretty loaded question. What type of wing T do we run? We basically run like the Tubby Raymond kind of Delaware wing T. We've been kind of tweaking it and playing with it a little, making it our own verbiage. We don't say like, the traditional 100 and 900 formations. We just call them left and right. It just makes the picture in the kids' heads a little easier to visualize. However, like I have been spending a lot of time watching. He actually coached in Tennessee. He coaches in Georgia now. Is Roger Holmes. His system is really, really awesome. And he's got state championships to prove it. He does a really good job teaching it too. So I'm going to, I guess, plug him a little bit. He has this whole thing on CoachTube. It's a really, really good system. And then recently I've also been watching like, Adam Mathias and stuff, and he's more of like a spread RPO type of wing T guy, and like that's actually kind of intriguing too. But I really enjoy just the wing T that we run. Roger Holmes is kind of like, the Delaware wing T. I can't remember who. Herschel Moore, I think, is the guy that influenced him, and it's the same plays, it's just worded differently, and it allows them to do a little bit more, because in the old school wing T, you read the guards and they take you to the play, and like that's everyone's like basic rules of, see what a wing T team is doing. But he'll call, sweep, the same buck sweep, and this time the guards aren't pulling, the tackles are pulling, and now your read's all jacked up and you don't know what you're looking at. And it's like, okay, that's kind of neat. And so we're trying to figure out how to implement those ideas into what we call, explain how you run our offense. We basically do it, just like every wing T person or should try to do it. I mean, honestly, any offense, right? Like we have a series of plays and we ask, the if-then scenarios. If this the end is doing, if he's crashing, cool, we'll run buck sweep. If he's trying to stay outside, we'll kick him out and run down. And you got to realize too, like, I know that, there's a buck series, belly down series. There's even like a cool trap series, a trap option series I didn't even know existed until I picked up the A to Z wing T 101 A to Z, and I was like, oh, there's a trap option. This is cool, and it makes sense when you're looking at it.
Right.
You got to realize too that those series, they actually play off of each other as well.
Right.
Like, so it's not just, okay, we're going to run the buck family, and those are the only plays we can set up. But it's not necessarily true, because you run buck sweep, and then you can run down to complement that. Then you can run counter crisscross or Sally to complement those things. We run power a lot, and that's not necessarily a whole wing T thing. Like everyone can run power, but we really run that play a lot. I love running power. Like it's the most beautifulest play ever. I mean, honestly, too, we do run even like a little bit of midline and veer.
Okay.
And, that's just a nice little change up of what, we're used to doing. Because when guys play us, they're either getting down blocked, kicked out, or reached. Because no one's ever blocking on for us, right?
Right.
So when a kid gets not blocked, it's interesting to see what they're going to do and how they're going to react. And normally when a kid doesn't get blocked, like we're riding and giving that fake, and he's like, yeah, I got a free tackle. And our quarterback, we teach him how to pull or ride and pull. So yeah, I mean, that's how we run our offense. What plays do we run? We just run where they're not. Like where a lot of guys do it. Like, we like to run to an open bubble. So like we really like belly, because on the weak side, a lot of people leave the B gap, uncovered. And then on the strong side, depending on like the DN, corner, outside linebacker, strong safety setup over there on the strong side, like we like down and sweep, and like I said, power a lot. And a lot of times some teams, like the way they line up, we're just looking at it like we have a replay system and we're looking at how they're lined up, and I'm like, dude, down or powered? I don't even want to talk, just call it. And so like those plays break just because of how they're lined up. And it might take us a couple plays to realize that. And honestly, like before, it would take us a little bit longer because we didn't have a replay system. And honestly, guys, if you guys don't have one, it's a huge game changer.
No, it is. It's so nice.
Yeah, it is fantastic. You can literally show a kid what he did wrong or right, and then coach him up right then and there, and then throw him back out there, and then he's doing the right thing the next play. You know what I mean? Like it's great. So yeah, that's what I'm going. That's how I'm answering this question right now. That's how I'm answering.
So do you guys let the quarterback audible at all?
We've thought about that, especially when we're running like jet sweeps.
Right.
We thought about having them go up to the line, taking a peek, and then just going 888 or 999, and 88 we're going right, 99 we're going left, and our wings are there, so they know which one to go. Right. So we've thought about it. We've done it yet. Honestly, I think right now it might be what we call too expensive already.
Right.
So like even if we get any type of season, we're going to have to narrow this playbook down, because last year, we had the whole playbook installed pretty much in 2 weeks. So we did a 4-day install, right? And then we reviewed that 4-day install with a little bit more. next week, and dude, they picked it up so much quickly, so much faster than the year before, because we thought we did it better. So yeah.
So like when I ran kind of a wing tee-ish type thing, I went like I saw Gordon Elliott speak at a couple clinics, and I saw what he was doing, and it was a double tight, kind of like a spread wing tee, and it was really good. And it was all off of jet sweep, and then you come back and you overload. You do a lot of overloading with your tight ends, so you'd shift quick, and you'd play up tempo, and it just for me made a lot of sense with the kids we had, and I got away from that and just started throwing the ball more, because that to me is more fun.
It's more fun.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't have linemen anymore. We were really good at going backwards. And when you're trying to run the ball effectively, going backwards is not nearly as good.
No.
So yeah. But for us, we did a lot of jet sweep, and then we would go with trap, and then we do tight end trap, tackle trap with the tight end, and then we do a lot of QB sneaks. Like our QB sneak would go for like 5 yards about. We'd wedge it.
That's a good call. Call that every time.
Like it looked like bad Pee Wee football sometimes, but but
or really good Pee Wee football.
Yeah, or good Pee Wee football.
Okay, next one. You can definitely answer this one, but I'm gonna preface. Wasn't the spread like invented to run the ball?
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't know the history, but I think I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyways, I can't even pronounce his name. I'm gonna butcher this. Kinahan. Coach Kinahan. Sorry, dude. Yeah, from Ireland. His question is, how do you run effectively from spread? And he goes on and says it's something we've struggled with in the past and has keyed teams off that we will probably pass in this set. Okay.
Yeah, so I think the big thing is, like I said before, we started as a double tight team, and then we'd go out into some spread formations. But I think the big thing is you don't want to change your scheme.
Yeah.
So if you're like, for you're a power team. If you're going from wing tee to a spread formation, so let's just say you go from bunch it up, so your wing tee set to a 2x2 set, you're still got to run power, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't all of a sudden say, well, when we do this, now we're going to run outside zone.
Yeah,
right?
Dude, honestly, you're right, because we did that our last game, and that's what won us the game.
Yeah.
We were practicing an empty set.
Yep.
But out of that empty set, we were still running jet.
Yep.
And we were still running trap, just with the quarterback. So it was plays our kids already knew. So I 100% agree with you. Just doesn't matter what formation you're in, stay true to your scheme.
Right.
And you're fine. Sorry, keep going. I interrupted.
No, but that's exactly what it is. And then that kind of goes to the theme of what we've been talking about, is the expense of everything. Like, it's not expensive. Like, my own line needs to know how to pass block, really their zone steps. Like, they kind of need to know if it's inside or outside zone, but not really. One dude needs
the same thing either way, right?
One dude needs to know if it's inside or outside zone, right? That tackle. And even if he doesn't, the back does, right? Like, if it's outside zone and we can't hook that tackle can't hook,
he's going to cut it up anyway.
He's cutting it up. So it's inside zone now. So, like, it's not really a big deal. But, yeah, so they need to know zone steps, pass pro, and then we're toying with the idea of little pin and pull action.
Okay.
But like I said, we're toying with it. We're not 100. I'm not 100% sold. I like the idea. Like, I love trap. I'm a huge fan of trap, but I just don't know if it's, like I said, too expensive. Like, I'd rather be really good at pass pro and screens.
Okay. So, Cannon, he doesn't like to run the ball. You hear that? Okay, hang on. So I'm gonna go with like the spread hat on, like the little spread hat on that I've had, and honestly, it's the stuff that I've seen other guys do. Right. So out of spread, I mean, I don't know what you're thinking. If it's 3x1 or 2x2 or even 4x1, shit, you can do whatever you want in that. But how would you run effectively? Honestly, I would probably use a lot of jet motions or even orbit motions, and run inside zone and then that orbit motion maybe is your RPO or even your, an option type of thing.
Right.
I would also probably do counter GT.
Yeah, that's always a nice one.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
but off that jet look, right?
Right, and I'd run it with more than just one person too, because you could run it off the jet look and you would hand it to the running back, or you can run it.
I was thinking out of empty, take the jet
and then with the quarterback, right?
Right, yeah. And you can turn it into a read.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think Bash is becoming pretty popular, and I don't really know the exact way to coach it and teach it, but I know that's becoming a really big thing. I don't like guard trap out of spread because I think it takes too long. But like some kind of tackle trap or dart concept probably works really well.
Yeah, so like when we do trap, it's normally turns into more like a fold.
Okay.
Where we're just going to it's going to be real quick. Where you're really going to trap like that one tech to get something in the A gap. Because like if you're trapping an end in the spread look, like really the running back bounces outside more times than not because he's nervous that the middle linebacker's there and kind of grabs his pants.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, when they think spread, though, too, they just think it's a pass formation. I mean, like, cause like we just talked about earlier, like spread was invented to have the field be, you have to now defend the field horizontally, and now vertically, too, because now you have the threat of 4 verts. So it's supposed to spread out the defense, but it also enables you to get like run lanes now, because everyone's so spread out. So honestly, like maybe if you're just trying to pick run plays to run out of that, and if it goes with your scheme, I would do it like Coach Mack was talking about, inside and outside zone. And then honestly, I would pair it with veer.
Yeah.
Like that's how I would do it. And then, because you're still reading an end, but the blocking changes up front, and then like that's that change up that you could possibly need in order to like, kind of just mess with the D line. Like, are they going to get zone blocking or are they going to get veer blocking?
Right.
Like, and like that's enough to mess with 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kids. I'm not sure your age group, but dude, I mean, like Baltimore's really successful with stuff like that already.
Right.
Like they're running stuff out of pistol and like they're blocking what looks like to me inside zone, but then they're also blocking the path of the running back. To me, it looks like a veer type of block.
Right.
Fine. And dude, like, Jackson's just out the gate. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a ridiculous athlete, and that's like like cheating game code, but it's just you can definitely run effectively out of spread, but like we were talking about earlier, keep your concepts true no matter what formation you're in. And that way, they can't really key off of your formation as much to figure out if you're run heavy or pass heavy out of that.
Right. And if you spread them out and they're not honoring your receivers, don't spread out.
Yeah.
Like,
or bubble.
Right.
Right.
Because if you really can't throw the ball, don't spread out. I mean, I don't believe that you can't throw the ball. You just got to take a little time. Like, I think you can always find a quarterback. But if you can't throw the ball and they're going to not honor you having that ability and they're going to pack the box with 9 guys, then don't spread out. Like, I think that's like coaches get married to it and they're like, well, in this situation, we need to go 3 by 1. Well, there's 9 guys in the box and you're never going to throw to the trip side. So what are you doing?
Okay. He's got another question now, though, too. You ready? Okay. Same coach. I'm going to try to pronounce your name again, and I can't remember how I can pronounce it. Kinahan. Coach Kinahan, Ireland. Now he's asking defense. What drills do you use to help your D-line to drop back in zone on zone blitzes? They're in a 3-4 scheme. Our line's not the biggest, yet still struggles with their ability to cover. Okay. You want to go first on this one?
Yeah, so this is actually something I do like. I'm an odd front guy as well.
I learned something new today.
Right. So I'm an odd front guy as well, and I do like having those DNs go and do a little. I think we called it a cop coverage. Take the running back or take the flats, especially.
Are your DNs? Are you considering your DNs like the guys with the hand in their dirt, or are you like the stand-up linebackers on the outside?
So I've done a couple different ways. Like we've had the DNs be just stand-ups, and there's only one dude with his hand on the ground. Okay. The nose is the only one with hand on the ground, and then we've had a DN where it's the 3 guys: our DN, our nose, and our other DN all have their hand on the ground. So we've done it. I've done it both ways. But yeah, that D end, that 4-tech or a 5-tech, I'm guessing that's who he's talking about, dropping into a pass zone on zone blitzes. So I would guess it's an exchange. That's what I'm taking it as.
Yeah. So
right?
I'm not gonna lie, we don't do any type of zone blitzes like that
Okay.
at all. We do like some creeper stuff and like some fire zone things, but we don't. Our D linemen never drop, and honestly, it's because our D linemen aren't very good at dropping. If they were good at dropping and doing all that stuff, they would be linebackers.
Yeah. So like what my D ends are probably two of my more athletic dudes on our defense.
Okay.
So
I mean,
like,
also, I'm not gonna take that athleticism away from our guys because one guy, he also plays baseball. The other guy's a basketball player, right?
mm-hmm.
They're just not that good in space compared to the other linebackers that we have. So I just don't do it. If I were to do it though, I would take those D linemen and actually run them through linebacker coverage drills.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that might help. And honestly, like that's just off the top of my head because I've never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry, dude, keep going.
Yeah, so we actually run a 4-2-5 because that's what my D coordinator wants to run.
Sure.
And so, but if we were, I would say on offense, we do a blitz period. And I would tell them that in that blitz period, their job is not to rush unless they get their run read, right? Because we'll still run plays in our blitz period. Like we'll do run plays in our blitz period. But I would tell them as a defensive coordinator, if you get pass, you then have to drop into whatever zone you're supposed to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that then in that 10-minute period, they're getting extra reps that we could then go back and clean up when we get into Indy time. And that for us has been kind of a big way to, one, get better offensively in that blitz period because, like, we let our kids kind of pick the blitzes. So, like, they're sending, like, 9 guys. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. But the offensive line, right, like, and the offensive line are picking them up or the quarterback's figuring out what needs to happen. But then also defensively, you get kids that are kind of that confidence thing of like, oh, well, I can do this. Like, oh, well, when coach sends me off this edge, I can almost hit home. Like, obviously we're not touching the red jersey, but as the quarterback, but I can get home, like, so it just kind of gives them that time to explore and figure out what they can or can't do. And then as a coach gives me an opportunity to see what they can or can't do. And then that would be my adjustment from there.
Mm-hmm. I think another thing that you probably have to do now too is like teach the line or the linemen coach their eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so if they're dropping into space and covering grass is probably not the best thing.
Yeah.
Like if they're dropping to the middle, like where are the routes going to come from? It's probably going to be a slant from the most inside receiver, especially if they're reading something hot. I don't know if they do that in high school very often, but
we do. So like that slant, that quick slant on like from a slot receiver, that would be something that if I was a DN would be something that would happen often.
Yeah.
And would be one of those balls where it could be a pick six, truthfully.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, depending how fast that kid is, right?
Right.
Where they're at in the field. Like if you're on the 10 or the offense is back and sort of the 10, that fool better make it in.
Right.
But catch the ball first. Don't get too excited.
Exactly. But no, for sure. Like having a kid his eyes. Yeah, you're right. Because if you got to get all the way to the numbers, if you're in the middle of the field and you got to get to the numbers, that's a haul.
Yeah, that's when you just don't call that.
Right.
Like, I know this kid's got to move. Nope, he ain't calling that right now.
Yeah, that definitely is more of a boundary. Like, you're dropping in a 5-yard zone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Coach Woods out of Missouri? I think that's Missouri, right?
Yeah, it's, I think, another one for you here.
Oh, God. Oh, but single wing? Okay, trust me, I love watching single wing football. What do you say to critics of the single wing or the non-believers? Honestly, like they're non-believers for anything that doesn't really throw the ball. You know what I mean? So if you're running the ball constantly, there's going to be non-believers no matter what. The first thing I would actually tell you to do, and it's probably going to follow up with your next question, is talk to Coach Tyler Fairs out of West Virginia, I believe. I did a clinic with him, and they won their state title running the single wing. They were in one formation pretty much all year long. It was incredible. And his is like the 1940s type of single wing stuff.
Okay.
You know?
So football back 100 years. Great.
Yeah. we're pretty much going back 80 years to win some games again. It's like it's all cyclical, right?
Right.
But honestly, dude, for non-believers, like you gotta one, make sure you know what you're doing. So when you are playing that game, you're moving the ball and scoring points. Because they're going to be non-believers if you are not scoring points. It doesn't matter what offense you're running, right?
Yep.
And then I had another point to this part. I don't remember what I was going to say again. I got super distracted that something turned on in front of me. Crap. Let me think.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to move on to his next question because it might.
I was going to agree with you. Like, you just got to be passionate about it. Like, all offenses work, right? Like, why people still run them.
You just got to know what you're talking about and know how to coach it.
Right, and you got to get kids excited to do it. So, if you can do that, it doesn't matter what you're running.
So his next question, same Coach Woods, is when our centers can't snap the ball, they all look mad at me and say, I told you so. Reps at center. Is that the only fix? The technique, practice suggestions are welcome. Okay. So I don't know who's saying I told you so. Maybe he's talking about the kids?
I think the kid. That's the way I took it, was the kid. Which I've had because I like that rifle snap. Because I want the ball back there as quick as possible.
Is it the where he's grabbing on the laces and kind of just spins it back?
Yeah.
I know that's good. I know a lot of coaches have used a dead man snap.
Right, and that was kind of my answer. Was like if you have that problem, use that dead snap.
Okay, so I have another answer, and I'm gonna actually refer back to Tyler Ferris again,
right?
Because his offense, the center actually looks underneath his legs. Like he knows if there's someone on him or if there's someone away from him. He never has to step to his right.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Because they're always unbalanced right.
Okay.
100% of the time, but he never has to block that way. So he knows he's either coming forward or going down away. Yeah. That's his only way, only thing he's doing. But his eyes are under, and he's looking at the two backs behind him in the single wing. And the reason why he wants them to look behind him is because now they can directionally snap. So like if you can imagine, the center and then the two running backs with each running back's inside foot on the center's feet.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, let's say they're running power to the right. What happens is the center will actually snap the ball to the back that's on the right, but that's not the guy catching the ball. You know what I mean? So the guy catching the ball is the one on the left, and he's running this direction to catch the ball. And then, they're running power that way.
Right.
And they do that so many different ways. Like they'll do that to the left. They'll do that right in the middle. Like it's incredible. It almost made me want to say, I'm going to switch offenses, but I don't know anything about this. I just think it was awesome, but I mean, maybe that'll help fix your problem. Like if you really are wanting to run that single wing stuff, find, and honestly, if you DM Tyler Ferris on Twitter, he'll definitely get back to you and answer because he's super passionate about this stuff too. But the centers don't look up; they're head under their legs, looking back, and they know where they're snapping the ball. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's nuts. And if we watched some of his film, I was like, holy God, how do guys not stop this? But when you think about it too, like as a D coordinator, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this shit's impossible to stop. I don't get it. Like,
who do you like? You're looking for a tell, right? Like, when they snap it to this guy.
Yeah.
Like,
no, because they'll snap it to that, back running power, but then they'll run counter with the wing coming back underneath, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just great watching it. I'm like, dude, can you send me some film? Because I just want to watch this. Like, I don't even know what's going on. I don't know your rules and what you're doing, but it's great. I want to see more.
No, and that's when you're watching someone who does it way better than anyone else.
Yeah.
Is when the product on the field is just a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
All right. So this is from Coach.
We only
Logan.
got 3 more guys. Hang in there with us.
Right. This is from Coach Logan from Wyoming. How often should varsity be hitting in practice in order to be physical on game day?
Okay. We kind of talked about this a little earlier.
Right.
But I don't know if it's the same throughout the whole nation, but I know in California we only are allotted 2 days of full pads.
Okay.
Right? And I think it's 90 minutes per day.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean we can't go in shells and, bang a little bit.
Right.
And I think I said it already too, like, we hit as often as we possibly can, but then we also listen to the kids and we taper off how much we're hitting or how much contact we're actually allowing. Because honestly, sometimes we still take it to the ground. And because I want to get that, even the defense, that, that physicality aspect of, okay, I gotta tackle this guy. Like, just wrapping up and tagging off isn't going to be good enough on Friday night. Like we still, I think we still have to like kind of, go all the way. But like I said, we kind of, taper off. We're only allowed 2, but like I said, 2 practices a week where we're full hitting, but we taper off towards the end of the season of less and less contact.
Yeah, so like I've been getting big on Brad Dixon and Tony Holler and the sprint-based football. And like just our goal, especially last year, our goal was to be ready and healthy on Fridays. Like, because I don't need their best day, the kids' best day, to be on Tuesday or Wednesday, right? Like, I need their best day to be on Friday and the game.
Right.
So for us, like, quite honestly, I think I could have them hit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and on Thursday. There's no specific rule as far as how many days. I just know that I can't have them hit the next day after a game. So I couldn't bring them in Saturday. And
that makes sense, right?
Yeah, and have a live practice. But what we were doing was Monday was really just a film and sprint day. We'd run some 40s. Kids would kind of go, we'd hit the weight room, we'd run our 40s, and we watch film. Tuesday, we'd be in uppers, and we'd get through kind of like a normal practice, but we'd just be in uppers. Then Wednesday would be full. And again, it would be kind of your typical Wednesday practice. We'd have competition segments built in. And that was kind of one of the pieces along the way, even on Tuesday, is building in those competition pieces. And I think that was more, not so much the physicality of like, we got to hit each other and bang each other. It was we need to be competitive, and we need to make sure that we have a chance to compete and get kind of going against each other. And that was more of the thing that kind of helped us. And then Thursday was walkthrough, and I think I always like doing uppers for walkthrough just in case we got to bang a little bit. And then Friday we came out like gangbusters. I mean, we had some good stuff on Fridays. So,
Coach Brundu
from Australia.
I'm the worst at names. You should hear me butchering names during attendance, bro. Like, it's bad. Like, that sub clip from Key and Peele. Like, Aaron. Like, I feel like that. Right, exactly right now too. All right. How do you help coaches get up to speed, especially having a staff of new coaches? And he goes on and says that he has all rookie coaches, and he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He's using a mantra of accountability. He's talking about an older coach who doesn't understand new concepts. Any advice on how to better my O-line coaching? Okay. His athletes are the ages 20 to 35. Yeah. So I guess it would kind of be like a semi-pro team in here. Also tried to simplify the playbook, so he only has 6 running plays and 3 passing pro schemes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing, like for me, would be doing more combo segments. Like I would do for my run scheme, and I would do like a RPO. So we do this already, but we do an RPO segment. And so then that way I can get my time with the offensive line and just kind of make sure things look good there. We'll get time with the running backs. And now you can break it up and run to the right and to the left. And we do probably half line RPO segments. And that way we can get everybody involved. But at the same time, I can then kind of watch what's being coached.
Sure.
And then same thing with kind of that blitz segment I was talking about earlier, is just making sure that everybody's more together. And then finally for like a tempo drill, like one of the drills I really like is a bandit drill. And it was just high speed up tempo, getting in and out of our plays, working up and down the field. And I would pretty much design my practice around that, and I wouldn't have as much indie time, I guess. I'd probably keep indie time to like 5 minutes and say, hey, these are the everyday drills I just want you to go through. Really be more guiding with that new staff where maybe I don't have that off season yet. And then in the off season, I'm going to say, hey guys, this is what needs to happen. Like, you need to get on Chief Pigskin. You need to watch these videos. You need to reach out to Gonzalez and Mack, and you need to pick their brain and get Alba to talk up little 3-3 and McDonald how to
run robber.
Right. Right.
Talk to Blair about how to run option. You're good to go.
But I mean, that would be if tomorrow my whole staff left and they were like, hey, we're going to start in February and you have everybody brand new, that's what I would do. I would just have big segments with everybody and try and get as many people involved so I can kind of not have to run around like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah, dude, I agree. If you have an off season with this staff, it's going to be night and day. You know what I mean? Like you can totally like clinic with each other, and you're the one presenting the clinic, or you're like, maybe you're watching videos together,
right?
Doing stuff that way, and asking what they took out of that and what drills you would do with that on top of that. But like you said, if my whole staff is gone and I started with a brand new staff tomorrow, and they know nothing, like I might quit one. But, and I probably wouldn't, but still, like I would definitely do a lot more segments where they're around and they're like supporting me, but I'm running the show,
right?
Because like right now, like we both trust our staff, so I mean we're running the show, but we're allowing them to do what they need to do, and we can like rotate and watch. I mean that's how like I like to design the practice, so I can go through the groups and watch and see, make sure that the coaching points are still there and that I'm hearing everything that I should be hearing from each group. But when you can't hear the things that you want to hear from each group because they don't know, then that's the crappy part of being the head coach is you got to do it now.
Right.
So like that's a tough situation to be in. I'm not going to, especially.
And I would reach out to Atavius and do their tackling stuff because it's top notch. I got it over the summer, and they give you step-by-step progression of like week 1, day 1. This is what you should be doing, and it will be 3 drills, and they design the drills. They give you a video, and I would do kind of stuff like that. So like, hey, this is what I want, and then at the end of the season, if like you didn't see what you wanted, then that's it for that guy, right? Like if you can't follow directions, there's not a whole lot I can teach you then.
I'm going back through his comment. He said there's one thing that kind of pops out is like he said this is club football, so his athletes are ages 25 to 30. So that also means though that like they can be held accountable,
right?
In my mind, you know what I mean? Like let's say you want to teach them a specific scheme or a passing concept, like the internet is full of resources.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, they can go on and learn stuff themselves now, like they're those 20 to 35, damn, they're grown ass men, like they should, if this team matters to them, they're going to try to take some ownership of it, and that's okay. Even high school kids, like I want them to take ownership of the team. You know what I mean? Like I tell them, I got this from one of the guys that I used to coach with a lot, and he's impacted me coaching all the time, is he tells kids that it's his program, but it's your team. So like they got to take a little bit of ownership. But he does have something that I don't think we talked about. Any advice on how to better coach or how to better my O-line coaching? I think honestly that's straight up watching clinic stuff.
Right. Well, and it's whatever, like we kind of talked about a few times, is whatever you're doing on the field on game days, it has to translate. You have to do it at practice. And that would be kind of the big thing. I would video if you can, especially if you have a bunch of new coaches. Like maybe you video stuff and then break it down with them.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and this is what I need to see. And like especially with the pandemic stuff, we kind of talked. We've been watching more videos of stuff
Yeah.
And I've been sharing out with my kids like more, especially running air raid, more Washington State stuff, and saying, hey, this is what mesh is supposed to look like. This is what Y cross is supposed to look like. So like, but yeah, and even to get to your point of that age group of being 25, 35, like I share my practice plan with my players every day, and they'll have video cut-ups in there or like hyperlinks, and they can click on. I don't know that any of them click on it. It's more for the coaches, but they can click on it and see the drill. So like you can do stuff like that because it's easy, especially in Google Docs, where you can click on it and then that pops up, and then those players also know. I know he put in there that normally he gets some American football players that kind of helps him too. So that would be a way to kind of help that. So,
all right. Oh, there you go. All right, we got 2 more. I'm gonna let you do this one because I don't make one of these.
Right.
How do you make your offensive call sheets? From Coach Lewis out of Illinois.
Yeah. Coach Lewis also from my neck of the woods here. So I made it a bunch of different ways. I don't know that I have necessarily a great way of doing it, but it's basically off my game plan. I'm going to have on one side that really doesn't change much, and that's going to be just each play broken down. So like if I want to run inside zone out of a certain formation, and this was more so when I had wristbands. Now that we're going to call it with one-word plays, I don't know that my call sheet's going to be an 8x11 piece of paper as much anymore.
3x5 card?
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's a handful of words.
You have Post-its?
Yes. But it was one side was just the plays and the formation, so that then I didn't have to look at the wristband. And then on the other side was different situations of, okay, what's my openers going to be? What are second and short, second and long? What are some of the ideas that we talked about game plan wise? Because we might see these situations, or some trick plays, some end of half, end of game, special situation, 2-minute, 4-minute offense type of deal.
Sure.
But I don't know. I think a lot of people get hung up in like, I got to make this perfect call sheet. And like my call sheet changed every week. Like there was one side that was pretty consistent because my wristband didn't change. But the year that I changed my wristband, my call sheet literally changed every week.
Man.
I tried to do a depth chart of like who's going in where. But quite honestly, it was like, well, this kid was slotted for my Y. Well, if he goes down, then I'm bringing my X over to my Y. Well, if he goes down, then I'm bringing my Z over to my Y. Like, it wasn't as clear cut of, like, he's my second string, third string kind of a deal. So even that, I had more probably that I would do off kind of the cuff than looking at my call sheet.
Okay. Dude, honestly, like if I was to make an offensive call sheet for the offense we run, I would probably break it down by formation and the series. Just because, like I feel like in a wing T offense, I would still run sweep on 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it's there, it's there. And then honestly, most people are probably expecting waggle or something anyway. So I would just break it down that way. In my head, that's how it works. I feel like the whole playbook is open no matter what's the down and distance. But I'd also put, like you talked about, putting special situations like 2-minute drills, 2-point plays, like trick plays as well. Just I think it just goes with like how your brain is organizing the information.
Right.
You know what I mean? The way I would do it is obviously not the way you would do it.
Right.
And if you ran my offense or if I ran your offense, I would probably, have my own way of making a play call sheet that way anyways.
Yeah.
And everyone's expecting like this template of like, oh, this is how you do it. But honestly, maybe that's not how your brain organizes information, So like you got to kind of tweak what you see from other people and make it your own, and that's what pretty much all of this coaching stuff is anyways, right?
Right. Well, and everybody wants like that Andy Reid, Lincoln Riley, like giant menu of like stuff. It's like what they're doing is right. Like what they have installed and what they're doing is so vast that it's crazy. Like for me, last year, I don't know that I looked at my call sheet that often. Like I looked at it more to know what number it was, because
Mhm.
like it was a wristband. I was like, I'm not looking at the wristband, and I would look and I'd be like, okay, I want to run mesh, but I want to run it out trips. Okay, there it is. It's
Mhm.
63. All right, and then I'd shout out the number, but it wasn't because I needed to think of where, like, what the down and distance was. Like I knew, okay, I knew I wanted to run mesh, but I want to run out trips, you know, and I just needed to know what number associated with it.
Sure.
So now this year, calling it out of just with single words, like I'm going to say, what's our call? I think it's going to be, so it would be like early Minnesota is going to be our call. So I'm just going to say early Minnesota. I'm not going to look at a sheet to tell me that it's early Minnesota.
Mhm.
Like, but that's also from doing it now for a couple of years and feeling
Yeah.
comfortable. And I think that's the other piece of it.
Uh-huh.
Your comfort level in your system dictates kind of how fast or what you need on a call sheet. It's no different than defense.
No, yeah, definitely.
So,
All right. Last question. If you're still watching, you're a fan. Okay. And hopefully you're Coach Terryboy from Pennsylvania. You're still watching. Yours is last, buddy. Your question is, what do you guys ask your guys in the booth for week 1? So I'm assuming their first game week sometime this week, and he's asking us, what do we ask from the guys up top?
Yeah, I think like I took it as going into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was thinking more of that, because obviously week 1 you don't have film on your opponent, or at least you have the last game,
right.
You're not going to have a ton of stuff. So like for me, I'm going to want I want to make sure that what we saw during those kind of weeks of camp is correct. Like I want to make sure that defensively that our D lineman that was a stud against our scout O is still a stud against a real live offense.
Yeah.
Or our right tackle that we weren't sure about isn't getting his ass kicked play after play. Like if he just gets beat on like second play of the game and he just gets outmanned, it happens. Okay, it's going to happen throughout the year. But now if 3 plays in a row he got beat off the line and his stance is awful and his technique's bad, well, we can't have that go for 2 series and have our quarterback get taken out week 1. Mm-hmm. So it's more of making sure what we saw the prior 2 weeks was right, as opposed to like schematically what they're doing. I guess that's what I would give my booth guys. And I give my booth guys our scripted 10 plays and what I need them to look at for each one of the 10 plays.
Oh, that's smart, yeah.
So
we kind of do something a little similar to that, I guess. When on offense, I ask the booth guys to see like who or what type of players are on defense. Like, are they trying to just blow up the gap? Are they sitting back and reading? Because that's going to determine what play we call behind that. I know there's a few coaches in the wing tee that they like to track who's making tackles. Mm-hmm. I think that's actually really smart too, because if the play side linebacker is making the tackle on buck sweep, then that means that he's vacating the middle, so trap should be there.
Right.
I think there's it's just depending on what system you're running. Right. And honestly, like I'm also asking guys if on the defensive side is like, okay, so I want them to track the like a hit chart of where they're running the ball. Is it B gap to B gap? Are they trying to get outside on us? Are they throwing? And if they're throwing, are the route combinations that we showed them in practice what they're seeing on today? You know what I mean? And do we have to adjust our coverages from there? Also, too, like I'm also one of the guys sometimes it was too much information, but he'd always tell us like, Jose's got his hands on his knees. He's tired. Get him out. Like guys are looking to see the condition of the players and, if someone's hobbling, if there's hurting. And that went both way for both teams. Like he's like, it looks like that, their right end, he's getting tired, or like, it looks like he tweaked something, run a play at him and see, if, we can take advantage of that. And it sounds bad, but like, honestly, like, no. And I always tell the kids too, we're gonna find a weakness somewhere, and we're gonna exploit the hell out of that until they fix it. And when they fix it, there's probably gonna be a weakness somewhere else. So we're gonna find that too. And so like when I'm asking for guys in the booth is it might be a lot, but like there's an offensive guy, he knows what he's looking for and what we just talked about, and a defensive guy does the same thing, you know. So I'm lucky though too, because in the booth I have a tech guy, so he makes sure that all of our headsets are up, all the sideline things are going on, and that takes less out of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I now don't have to worry about that. I know he can fix the problem.
Gotcha.
That's a huge help, especially because last year was year one of our replay system.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I was the only one that knew how to run it, along with our end zone cam. And he's like, I want to help. I don't know anything about football, but I know AV and I know how to, you know, run video. I'm like, do you want to film for us? He's like, yeah, I'll get a student crew together. I'm
That's
like,
huge.
your face, you're lying to me right now. He's like, nope, and I'll be there at every single game.
That's
and
huge.
He has not let me down once. So
Dude.
He's a good guy. Find a guy like that.
Yeah, that is huge.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for our questions, right?
Yeah. I mean, we ran through, we rattled off 19 questions. We have just over an hour.
Good.
Yeah. So,
All right.
So those of you guys watching, appreciate it. Those of you guys that submitted questions, also appreciate that.
Yeah, keep those coming, dude. Like, and honestly, give us more questions. You know, send some more stuff. Like, if you have a game you're getting ready for next week, I think we talked about we're going to keep the forms open. Like, we'll send out a new one, but we'll keep the forms open for a week, and then that way you can ask us a game planning question. Like, if you guys are actually playing, like, can I just be on your huddle? I want to watch it. Please, like, just type that in there. I won't say anything either. Like, if you want my advice there, cool, I'll give it to you there. But like, let me do something. But yeah, Coach and we're two dudes doing nothing, right? And we're just trying to help out as much as we can and wherever we can.
Yeah, we'll keep that form open till Saturday night. Like last night I picked up Coach Tabby from Pennsylvania. He logged in at like 7, 8 o'clock last night. Throw that up. So like we'll take them all the way up till about midnight, pretty much till Sunday morning, and then we'll close that down and we'll do this and get it out to you guys. So we really appreciate it. What was that?
Every Sunday night is when this is going to pop up.
Sunday night for next 8 weeks, like the season, and then we'll see kind of how this goes, and you know maybe we could get McDonald when before he does his playoff run. On
his bye week, on his bye week. Yeah,
right, for sure.
He can teach you guys about his special router coverage.
Right. So you guys also during the week try and check out Chief Pigskin's TV. We do it every night, Monday through Thursday on YouTube. So check that out as well. I know Nate Albaugh is doing his Under the Lights segment with Coach Watkins from Concordia University, Chicago. They always bring on what?
He's funny. I like
he
that.
Is. He's a blast. Yeah. He is a blast, man. So, and they always bring on good coaches. They got top-notch guys. Mm-hmm. So check them out as well.
Guys want to come and help us out too, like we down.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that needs to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but again, thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Deuces.